This could be me one day to the next, happy, sad, crazy, depressed. This is me now, wanting to talk about how I started off. Hi, I'm Beth. I'm 24 years of age. I don't look as good as I do in my photo. Where I am at the moment is I've signed off, uncertain as what's really going on with me. I've been diagnosed with depression since my early teens, then went on to be in anxiety, and at the time I thought, yeah, I can accept that. I've come from living with my mum, who has learning difficulties and certain types of mental health issues herself, which again hasn't been diagnosed properly. From the day I was born, I was put on the at-risk register, and my mum had support with me up until she was 4. But then they started to encourage her to go to work when I started school, which was fine. She's still there. I'm 24 now and she's still there. Loves the job. She can manage a certain amount of hours a day. So yeah, I had that. So I was going for therapy and stuff, and as my therapist says, I've got a dysfunctional family. Hence why I was on the at-risk register. And it wasn't easy. So when I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder, depression, whatever they call it, yeah, I was going through counselling for my childhood experiences. I ran away when I was 10 because I couldn't handle how my mum's behaviour was at times. Don't get me wrong, I love my mum to bits, and still to this day, out of everyone in my family, she is the one I can count on. Even though I've had to look after her in the past, I still wouldn't change her. If I could live with her, I would, but I've had to leave from an early age. I did try going back, but it didn't work. So, yeah. So then where I ended up, I should have been safe. Later on, I found out that social services were supposed to do welfare checks, and they never did. Never. Again, before I ran away, I had a social worker come out and see me. My mum kicked off at the school. They never come out and see me again. Just how it is. They just never checked on me. So I ran away. And then, again, I didn't see a social worker. When I got put into the care of where I was supposed to have been, still didn't see a social worker. Finally, when I was able to live with my dad, by then I already went through sexual abuse. But at the time, in my head, I thought that it was in my head. It wasn't my fault. Was it their fault? There's something wrong with them. 10 years old, I knew that. But I wouldn't tell anyone because no one helped me with my mum. No one wanted to help us. no one believed me about my mum, and what's the use of speaking? So anyway, I put it to the back of my mind, just pretended what happened there was a nightmare. Didn't happen. I finally thought I had a fresh start and moved to my dad's when finally the social worker decided to come and see me. She asked me if I was okay. I'm so used to saying at that time I was okay. Everything's fine. And then she went by and case closed. Never saw her again. It didn't work out well at my dad's, unfortunately. I started to get, this is my cat by the way, Niska. I started to get nightmares a lot. Used to think I was being haunted. The abuser, it was in the family, started giving me random things. And I remember a torch being given as a Christmas present. I don't know why. But I couldn't say anything. But I hid it in a wardrobe and I thought there was cameras and that I would get in trouble if they were keeping an eye on me to make sure I didn't say anything. Just started secondary school, started my womanly issues. So that was quite a hard time. I didn't have my mum. I had contact, but my mum wasn't really there. I couldn't really go to her. I started getting body and self-confidence issues, where looking back at the pictures of me when I was 12, I was actually quite a good looking girl. But back then, I looked in the mirror and I thought I was fat or ugly, or I didn't have no confidence in myself, so I kept skipping meals or not eating. And exercising loads. I know you don't like me talking. So yeah, again, school never picked anything up. I didn't get on with my stepmom at the time. I didn't realise, but she was going through her own issues while just having my baby brother. And then when I thought I was doing okay, I was trying to focus on school because primary school wasn't the greatest at the time. Got bullied a lot, and that was when I started self-harming. When I was in year 5, I used to sit there and scratch myself a lot, really sharp, and if I had scabs, I used to pick them. I was so angry. One time I lost it in class, and again, no one noticed. No one noticed. So anyway, when it came to secondary school, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I loved animals, and I know I loved looking after people. So that was my options. I wanted to either be a policewoman, RSPCA, that sort of thing. And then I ended up, and I knew that to do that I needed maths. So I was really interested in doing math. I loved maths, but maths hated me because I struggled. I struggled with writing. I can be shown something and then I'd forget it. And if I keep doing it every day in class, I was getting it and I was getting the marks and doing great. And then as soon as a test happened, I'd fail, and or would do something else and go back to it later on. And then even though I knew it before and I got good marks, I couldn't do it again. And so I was always trying hard at things. I had great support with teachers at Redknock, the school I was in. But I was about 12 and had a headmaster, the head of my year, come into my class, call my name, say I needed to come out. When I come out, they took me to this room, and I was in a room with, I don't know, 6 or 7 people in suits. Didn't know any of them. They started asking me unpleasant questions about my dad, if he ever did anything to me, if anything else. And then the person that did abuse me, they mentioned. My heart sank because I told no one. Why are they asking me this? Who, as he said, what's going on? So I kept quiet. I just didn't speak. I didn't know what to say. They let me go, and it was home time. Didn't say no more. No more. I go home and see my dad crying. Luckily, my dad didn't get arrested or anything because he never did anything. Then my family fell apart. But no one kept an eye or anything. The abuser kept hanging around my dad, and he kept tormenting me. It come out to the stage where he got to go to court. Well, before he got to go to court, I tried to explain what happened to me to my dad in a way that I could at the time. I couldn't explain it. What brought me on to explain it is I found out I wasn't the only one. That there was others. And then it come out. But my dad, at the time, sent me to my mum's and said the police will come. Police never came. I never got to say my thing. Next thing I found out, he got sent down. But my dad ended up with his belongings, his car. I used to have panics. I didn't know back then, but panic attack every time I come round the corner to go home. The car would be there, and I'd freeze. I'd be scared. I'd be panicking. But it was being sold. I didn't have to worry about it. He was going to prison. He was going to go for a long time. He wouldn't come back. He wouldn't be allowed in the area. All that I was promised by the authorities. And then later on, things got worse with my dad. Started then trying to take paracetamols. I just didn't understand what I was feeling at the time. And there was no one to talk to. No family members, no one. So I spent all my days with my dog Jessie, walked her, had friends, tried to go out as much as I could, started drinking loads, hanging out with older people, saying I'll stay, that whole teenage thing. But then my friends started noticing I was odd because I drink and then I get emotional and then I get paranoid And then I just get really bad. I used to run away. One minute I'd be with my mates, next minute I'd be running away. I wouldn't know what the fuck I was doing. Pardon me. And started there. When friends didn't bother, I'd start cutting myself. And then my dad kicked me out because at the time his wife didn't want me there. And I ended up going back to my mum's, which then my mum couldn't get the fact that I was older and that I wasn't a little girl no more. So things become stricter. While I was at my dad's, I could go out and do whatever. My mum wouldn't. But then it changed, she would let me. But she just didn't like the fact that I had a boyfriend. Anyway, I had a friend, a neighbour who was older, and she picked up on things of my behaviour. I kept having so much time off school where I felt physical pain. So she said, go and see a doctor. I got referred to Let's Talk for the under 18s, and then I got referred to CAMHS, and it was the best thing ever. I got given a lady to support me. She helped me work with my mum. She started to teach me how to cook because my mum wouldn't allow me. My mum didn't know how to cook. She used to use microwave meals and put them in the oven and thought that was cooking. Washing. My mum, she had to do everything on set days, set things. It was really, really hard. And as I got older, it caused a lot of friction because I was a girl, young girl, wanting. I'd have fear of going if people saw me in the same clothes because I'd worried that they think I was dirty. And things like that. I had therapy, I had counselling, I talked about all the abuse, all the childhood fighting and stuff I witnessed growing up. Because I was stopped from seeing family and allowed and stopped and everything else. And then one thing they told me was that man is gone. He's never going to hurt you again. He can't come near you. If he does, you call the police. I kept saying, he ain't gonna go. He ain't gonna leave us alone. He's gonna keep coming. Anyway, with the help and support of everyone, I started college. I knew then that I wanted to become a social worker because I wanted to stop someone missing out and being I didn't want anyone else being damaged, so I wanted to go to college and do that. I passed my level, my first year, no problem, distinction, everything was great. But I kept having these issues getting the bus. I kept sweating. It just kept getting worse. Also, my moods kept changing. One minute I'll be really hyper. Next, I would be down in the dumps. And yeah, it was hard, so hard. So I got put on fluoxetine, that didn't work. So then they changed me to citalopram. Citalopram, that was that, and it just went up to the highest dose. Doctor didn't check on me as often, I just kept taking it, no asking how I'm doing on it, nothing like that. My lady from SIPS was helping me a lot at college and helping me plan for the future. I then went to go on to do my level 3 course, sorry. And halfway through the course, they changed the marking. And I had a tutor that took a dislike to me. And she used to always mark me down on my grammar, even though I couldn't help it. What I put in there was right, but how it was written was wrong. And she knew I had an issue with it. And I used to spend every break time, every time I got home, I'd be up till midnight just trying. And at this point, I ended up, pardon me, living back with my dad. I had a part-time job. My dad was still dealing with stuff with his divorce. So my dad was never there. I was alone all the time. Then people started getting letters and phone calls. Saying that he wants to see us. I was petrified. At the same time, my college tutor at the time that was giving me a hard time turned around and said, "You're never going to be good enough. You're never going to be able to get to uni. Not with how you're doing things." That hit me hard. So I believed I was stupid. What's the point? I can't do it. But I was determined I was going to finish college. At least get my level 3. Anyway, after loads and loads of therapy of being told that I'm going to be okay, he started hanging around my bus stops. He started hanging out everywhere I was going, to the point I couldn't go out with my friends because I was scared. I was waking up screaming at night. I ended back up with my mum. I split out with my dad, so I ended up living with my mum again. And my mum tried to get me to go to our local pub because I wasn't going out. And he turned up there. I ran and collapsed. I was that scared that I collapsed in the middle of the street on my own because I ran. When I come round and my mum found me, we called the police, as that's what I was told. 16 years old I was, and I called the police. The policeman come out and had a go at me. Said how I'm this dreadful person. And a man got chased out the pub and wasted his pint. When my mum mentioned about what happened, there was no record of anything going on towards me. And basically I couldn't do nothing, and they tell him to leave me alone, that was it. Still, I carried on going to college because I was determined I'm going to fight this one day. I'm going to make a better place and help people similar. Minding my own business. Next thing, I turn around the fuckers in my college. Luckily, a teacher that knows my mum saw me go white as a sheet, clicked. I don't know how or why. And as I went to clap next min, I said it was him. He's there. It was like a horror movie. I was trying to say to her he's here, but he was stood right behind me. And then they hid me in a cupboard. Not cupboard, but like it's a cupboard office type room. Whilst they called the police and tried to remove him from the premises. That was the day I never went back to college again. Because I was too afraid. Then from then, I tried to get a job. He turned up there. My mum started getting bad again. So this time I was coming up to 17. So they told me that it'd be good if I moved from my mum's because my mum ain't gonna change and her issues are rolling off on me. I didn't really quite get at the time what they meant. So I went to the council. They didn't move me into foster care or anything like that. Would have been so much easier if they did, but they didn't. So my support worker took me to the council to put my name on the register. They wouldn't help me. They said that I'm working full time and I don't have a kid. There's no priority. The only option was supported living in the area where he lived. No, was I going there? So I determined in the end, I worked all the hours under the sun, so I wasn't at home all the time. To the point that I ended up losing my job because my mum locked me in the house. She was having an episode, locked me in the house, and I was supposed to be at work, and I couldn't get back out. I told my work, I told them everything, but they got rid of me. I was supposed to be looking after someone, and I nipped home for something. I couldn't get back out. At this point, I already went to a estate agent. I had the money, I had the job, had the hours. I could have got myself a flat rented, but they wouldn't accept me because I had no credit history, so no guidance. They told me I needed credit. So when I had that job, I bought loads of credit. I had a phone, a credit card, everything. I panicked. I was like, I got no job. What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. I went back to my mum's, grabbed a blanket, pillow, got in my car because I just not long past my test, went down the road, ended up on a motorway, and next thing I knew I was in Plymouth. I maxed out my credit cards. I don't know why. Stayed in a fancy hotel for a night, went shopping. I the next thing I was on the edge of the cliff wanting to jump into the sea. But I got talked around to come back from my brothers, my two younger half brothers. So I somehow managed to find my way back home. Didn't have a sat nav. Come back. My auntie got me a job, a good job, at hers, and I eventually managed to pay my stuff. I found a bed set, wasn't the greatest, and was going great. I had a violent boyfriend at the time. He wasn't that violent, but controlling, jealous, got into drugs. I was with him since I was 14 till I was 19. In September, I kept having issues and they think I had a miscarriage. And then 2 weeks later, I found out he was cheating on me with an older man. No inkling. He put a knife to me. Everyone had to take him out. And that was that. And I fell into a deep depression. And but I tried to pull myself back out. No one told me how to do bills or anything. But I knew I had everything set out, so when I got paid, my bills went out and it was monthly paid. But then I changed my job to agency care work. Great money. But then I didn't realise I thought I set up a direct debit for my credit card. It was only when my landlord texted me to say that my rent hasn't gone in, that I didn't pay anything. I checked my balance and it was all gone. All my money was gone. I had an overdraft, which I shouldn't have. I owed loads of money on my car. I didn't know what to do. My car blew up. My step-grandpa died. The only man in my life that, apart from my uncle, that I looked up to, and my grandpa died. My step-grandpa died. I couldn't cope. And then, when I was getting money, getting paid, the money was going out. I wasn't in debt, but I knew if I didn't know how to get myself out of it. So then the self-harm started again. I started drinking. I stopped taking my tablets. And then had another episode, ended up being taken to hospital and then let out the day after. Nothing wrong. No checkup, nothing. Then got put back on my tablets, no question about what was going on. And then luckily my auntie at the time said that she was going to help get me a job at her place, and I leave and go and live with her, and that was it. We were going to stick together. I got everything written off and start fresh. That's what I thought. 2 years I lived with her, and it was the longest I've been anywhere, and I felt okay. But then I was still having these moments of depression and jumping up, crying. I don't know. Then I got offered a chance to do my level 3 again at my job. I changed. I applied for it. They said I had it. They were going to support me. I went on my first holiday abroad with my friend, which I've never done. I loved it. Come back and all went to shit. The abuser was back on the scene, trying to find where we were. Every time I went out in our local town, he was there. And then I went with a new guy that attacked me and my dad. But I kind of went for this habit of, I was going with people. After I split with my first boyfriend, I needed someone. So I was going with anyone that was showing me a bit of affection. And then that caused issues with my auntie. And then I started having the fear that she was going to kick me out soon, or it was all going to go wrong. It was in my head, it was all going to go wrong, but I didn't know why, but I just felt like it was all going to go wrong. And then I kept hearing things. I'd be walking up the street and I'd be thinking that people were talking about me, but they wasn't. But to me, they were talking about me. They were looking at me. They're thinking things. I kept changing my hair, kept changing the way I look. I wasn't happy. So then I ended up not coping, feeling suicidal. First time I asked for help, I went to my doctor's surgery, burst into tears and said, I need help. I need help. They put me away and said, you're going to have to wait 3 weeks for an appointment with the doctor. Next thing, I went out Halloween. I was happy. We were dressed up, we were enjoying it. My auntie was in her band. Everything was great. Sat watching her, and as I sat there, I felt like I didn't belong. Everyone's doing okay. My brothers at this point were getting older. And then it came into a battle with myself. I found myself outside of the pub. And I felt drawn to the river, and I was trying to fight it, but in my head it was, you're better off dead, you're better off dead, you're better off dead. You're never gonna get any better. Give up. Next thing I remember, I was in a riot van and taken to this place where I was locked up for the night. Psychiatrists, people would have it, anything. Then the next day they let me go. My dad picked me up, took me home, dropped me off at my aunt's. Everyone had a go at me and said that it's my drink, I'm not allowed to drink again, blah 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 blah. And then I wasn't offered any support. My auntie wouldn't go out with me. She used to go off and leave me. So I just worked, stayed home and worked. Then I got obsessed with, I'm going to buy my own place. Nothing could go wrong then. My house, I'll be safe. I won't have to move anything. I'll be fine. I started having stomach issues and the doctors couldn't find out what was wrong. They kept saying it was IBS. I kept having time off work because of it. And then my employer was saying that they were going to get rid of me, but then every time I was getting better. And then I started having issues where I'd end up crying for no reason at work. And then it just got so shit. So I changed my job again. Finally got to see someone and they gave me CBT. I started going for CBT sessions, thought I was okay. Sorting my memory out, how I'm feeling. Changed my job. Moved in with my nan as she wasn't coping using my step ramp. I thought it was great. I was paying less, thought I could save up. But no matter what I was doing, my credit rating wasn't going up. The boyfriend I'm with now, everything had to be in a certain situation. And then I start buying things. And then I would not go out. I'd end up just a mess. New Year's Eve, I thought, I'm going to get better. Life is going to get better. I started feeling good again. And then New Year's Eve, I got a Facebook message from the abuser. I flipped, put it on all over Facebook, was asking, saying I'm not going to leave, I'm not going to be left alone. And then I tried to commit suicide again. I felt alone, cut myself off from everyone. No one cared. No one cared, that was in my head. I just stick with my brothers, my boyfriend, my mum, my nan, my god. Work. Work, 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 work. Save. Save. Everything's gonna get better. So I had this great idea. So I got focused on that. And then I was just having like random moments of buying clothes and things I didn't need. And then the IBS stuff started kicking up again. And then my employer turned around and said, this ain't good, this ain't good. But this job was all I needed. Then my nan said that she wanted me to move out. So she wrote a letter to the council. And in all fairness, I'm grateful because I finally managed to get a 1-bed flat out of the area, away from everyone, away from him. So I moved into my flat. I had nothing, just my bedroom furniture. And then coronavirus happened. But I didn't care about that. I still had my job, working in the kitchen in a care home at the time. Put everything on hold in the future. Thought, I'll get there, but not right now. I need to get good. But then my IBS symptoms started getting worse and worse and worse, and my employer was like, we can't do this. You can't stay. And then he started working with me, so that was fine. But then I went through the stage where I couldn't switch off at work, I couldn't cope. And then I was getting snappy. I had to set things certain ways, and people were doing a set, and I couldn't cope. And then I ended up having a breakdown at work because someone didn't put a lid on a cup or something, and I just burst into tears. Couldn't cope. I was coming home every night drinking. Relationship with my partner, like, he don't live with me, but when he's here, like, I couldn't be intimate with him. I was scared at night. I felt alone. I felt like there's no point anymore. I then ended up trying to take sleeping tablets. And then woke up and because I couldn't sleep. I was petrified. So I took sleeping tablets. And then I couldn't get up for work. I could get up, but I couldn't move. And I rang up my boss, crying my eyes out, saying, I can't feel my legs. I've took sleeping tablets, can't feel my legs. And I must have fell asleep. Next thing, I woke up to paramedics at my door. I had a day off, and then I wanted to go to work next day. My boss said I couldn't go in because she needed a fit note. The doctors didn't do fit notes to say that I was fit to work. So it was a whole lot of stress. And then they said they were going to cut my hours. And I didn't know what to do after that. I couldn't cope. I was scared I was going to finally lose my house. And then eventually I had a breakdown, a big one. And had to leave. I ended up self-harming and the police being called because I asked for help. And then there was times where my partner was here and I went outside for some fresh air and ended up disappearing. I thought I was gone 5 minutes. I was in my pajamas. And then I was on a bridge. Took me to hospital. Let me go again. I finally got referred to mental health nurse because of COVID. Couldn't do anything. The people that I've always seen when I was young said that they couldn't work with me no more because I'd gone to a medium high risk. And yeah. So then I was also having stomach issues again, really bad. And it just got so bad. Then I finally picked myself up and thought about getting myself a job, a new one, in the area. I get myself back together again. Started therapy. I thought I was waiting for a support worker to come and help me, but never got a phone call. I had someone called P3 that helped me with financial stuff and sorting myself out that way, which I was grateful for. And then I found being around horses helped me a lot. I always go with horses, so someone mentioned the Red Horse Foundation that does equine therapy, and I've been with them since. I've been going to see them quite a lot, every week, and it's helping. But before I started my job and therapy, I ended up in hospital. What should have been emergency operation, quick in, quick out, ended up with me giving up. I wanted to die. And apparently the hospital wouldn't let me go, and I needed to be assessed. And then there was talks that I might have bipolar. I got PTSD. No one told me that before. And which people have always said my mum might have bipolar. I'm starting to see traits in me like my mum. But I've not really been assessed properly. But it's written on my discharge notes. But when I mention anything, I'm just on sertraline. Anyway, they maxed out my dose to sertraline. So I was on that. I come out, I finally managed to start my job. Everything was just going okay. And doing alright. Then the past couple of weeks, I started slipping again. I have no reason to slip. I've got a job. I'm doing fine. But I started getting the body image issues again, changing my diet, and what went from that to me, I can't understand things, I'm getting lost, my memory's going, my head's all over the place. 1 minute I want to stay in bed and die, the next minute I'm jumping up thinking, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that, I'm not gonna buy that. Or I'm gonna apply for a uni course. Or and then it got to the stage where I got my car stuck. I ended up going to the wrong house of where I was meant to be when I was working. Ended up getting lost in an area that I know. Having another panic attack, big panic attacks. But the last straw for me was driving up a pathway where I should have been up, which wasn't a road. And my brother's in the car. It was on a steep hill and my car conked out. And when I tried to get the car to go up forward, the car kept sliding backwards. And I couldn't cope. I couldn't cope going out the house. Can't cope going shopping. I don't know what to do. Food. I'm not getting out of bed. I'm a shell of what I used to be. Or when I was okay. And now lockdown's happened. It's even worse. I can't even plan what I'm gonna do. But no one will do anything. There's no support. So now my neighbour, who's my friend, he's like a mother, like a sister. She keeps an eye on me. And this is where I'm at the moment. Waiting to be assessed again. Whenever they do that. I keep going from past to bullet to bullet to past. I've put on so much weight. I don't eat. My skin's got so bad. It's so terrible. I've now resulted in writing a diary, and going to horse therapy as much as I can, and planning things. I hope to go back to work. I'm only signed off until next week, but I really don't know. I've been told I don't have to work at the minute. I need to get better. But this is where I am. And this is where I'm starting. So I guess starting a blog. I thought I'll talk about my journey, because I think I'm at rock bottom at the moment. And also I'm going to use this page to go on about this and to review different things like products and stuff. So because I'm always looking at products, and sometimes it's not good and tells you anything like in detail. Don't know what to use, and there's so many different things, so I'm going to give it a shot. So yeah, anyway, see you in a bit, guys. Sorry for the long post, and if you're still with me, thank you. Subscribe down, and yeah, let's all stick together. Hopefully the justice system, the care system, mental health system can improve. But if more people speak about how they're feeling, and best of all, coping mechanisms, and I'm really scared at the minute. I'm really scared what my future's going to be. So I'm keen to know what everyone's doing in similar issues, how they cope in jobs and things you do, because I really don't know what I'm doing at the moment. If you got to the end, then hopefully you'll be able to see my next video of the next stages of being assessed and my life on. My next video will be seeing how I live and my routines and getting better, as well as if I get assessed and results and how I do.